Hello and welcome back. And in this video, we are going to be building upon the knowledge that we gathered in the last video, where we built out a custom button style, basically to reuse a button style for different buttons. Okay, so this time around, what we're going to do is we're going to build this 3D style buttons, and we're going to get started by first adding an enum for the shapes for the 3D style button that we're going to support. So let's go ahead and add an enum, and this is going to be button shape. Okay, and this enum is going to have three cases. So there's going to be a circle, rounded rectangle or rounded rect, and then capsule. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to build a property that is going to give us a shape from it's going to be a helper property, which is going to give us a shape depending upon the type of the button shape that we have selected. Okay, so we're going to simply decorate this with view builder, and we're going to say the shape for the item, the currently selected item, is going to be, we're going to put a switch statement for self. And basically, for the case of circle, what we want to return is a circle shape. Okay, for the case of rounded rect, we're gonna return a rounded rectangle with corner radius of about 5 points. And then for the last case, which is gonna be the capsule, we're gonna return a capsule shape. Okay, let's go ahead and select everything, Command I, to make sure everything is formatted correctly. And then our enum is basically ready for the shape. Okay, next what we're going to do is we'll work on button style, where there are three buttons with the back color, front color, and the shape that needs to be configured. Okay, so we're going to create a new struct with the button style protocol. So struct 3D button style. Okay, this is going to conform to the button style protocol. All right, and this is going to take three parameters: the back color, which is going to be of color type. Sorry, it's not the case, but rather it's a var. And then you have front color, which is the foreground color. All right, and then we have the third one, which is the button shape, which is basically the object of button shape, okay, that we created. All right, now to achieve the 3D look, we will incorporate two shapes in a Z stack, and with an offset of y-axis, we'll be able to achieve that 3D look. Additionally, we'll utilize the isPressed property to toggle the offset for both shapes of the button, so the button actually looks like it's in the depressed and the pressed state. Okay, so for the make body function implementation, what we're going to do is first we're going to create a Z stack, and the Z stack is first going to have an offset value. This offset value is going to be of type CG float. So core graphics float value is going to be the type, and then we can actually have a button shape. Okay, now button shape is basically our enum, and we want to get the shape out of that. Okay, and then set the foreground style for this guy with the front color, whatever it is, and turn it into a gradient. All right, and we're gonna set the offset. First is going to be the background color, so background color or back color, and the offset is going to be in the y direction for the value of offset. Okay, so this is going to be our first shape that's going to sit on the Z stack. Then we're going to have our next shape, button shape. Okay, and we are going to once again get the shape value, set the foreground style to be the front color dot gradient. Okay, and we're going to set the offset value, and we're going to basically set the y value for the offset depending upon the isPressed state of the configuration. So we're going to reach out to configuration. We're going to say if button is pressed, in that case set the offset Otherwise, set the offset as 0. Okay, so no offset, basically when the button is pressed, essentially both shapes are gonna sit on each other. There's no distinguish, Okay, so for the button shape, we have the offset at 0. Now, what we need is we need the access to the label of the button. So we're going to take the configuration option, basically the configuration parameter, and we're going to reach out to the label. And then we're going to first turn this label into bold, and also going to make sure that offset is also moving along with the button label is also moving along with the shape itself. Otherwise, it'll just stay hanging there. So for that reason, we're going to set the offset for the label as well, and we're going to set this as configuration dot is pressed. And when it is pressed, then we're going to set the offset. Otherwise, the offset is going to be 0 in the y direction. Now, before we apply the shadow modifier to the Z stack, we will add something called a composite group modifier. Now, this modifier ensures that the shadow is only casted onto the entire button, but not for the individual subviews. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to simply have composite group here, and we're going to cast a shadow, and the shadow radius is going to be 5 points, and we want to set the y-axis for the composite for the shadow as well. When the configuration is pressed, at that point the shadow is going to be 0, but otherwise it's going to be 5 points. Okay, now we are ready to use this button. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back to our example. Okay, and I'm gonna basically create 3 buttons right here. So I'm gonna comment this one out, and let's go ahead and create a VStack. And inside the VStack, first we're gonna create a button, and let's go ahead and give this some spacing, so we have a little bit of breathing room between buttons. And this button is gonna have no action. You can add the action whenever you want, or whatever action you want to have, but we're gonna set the label for this guy. And for the text, the label is going to be just simply, okay, so it's going to be a text, empty text. And for the icon, I want to actually display an image with system name. Okay, system name, and this is going to be arrow.right. Okay, so this is going to be basically our button, and this button, you can see it is without any style, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to set the style now. First, we're going to set the foreground style, and we're going to set the foreground style as white color. Okay, and then we're going to set the frame for this guy with width and height as 200 as width and 50 as height. Okay, and now you can't see any button because it's basically a foreground color of white. But let's go ahead and apply the button style. Okay, and the style that we are looking for is 3D style button with back color, front color, and button shape. So the back color we're gonna give is going to be the indigo. Front color is going to be blue, and the shape is going to be capsule. Okay, so what we're gonna get is basically this rounded button, and you see the front color, basically the foreground color is surrounding the most of the capsule. The back color is this thing that sits in the back, and then you have the shape as capsule. Now if you press on this button, you can see basically this is a 3D style button, which is basically getting compressed in that 3D space in the Z stack. Okay. All right, so this is our first button. Now let's go ahead and create 2 more buttons to try out other 2 styles. So we're gonna once again create a button, and we're gonna add a label. Okay, and this label is going to be once again a label value. So let's go ahead and use label control with title, and title is going to be text with an empty, and for the image we're going to have arrow dot right. Okay, so this is a right, same arrow, like arrow dot right, or we can do arrow dot left. Okay, and now we're gonna set basically the foreground color, the height and width, and we're gonna change them in a bit. So let me go ahead and first copy these, and we're gonna change the height and width to be 100 and 100, and basically we're gonna give this button a shape of a circle. Okay, so circle is round, so that's why we are creating this square kind of space. So we have enough padding around, right amount of padding around the buttons itself, and we're gonna have buttons. So let's go ahead and copy this guy over as well, and change this to be a circle. Okay, so as you can see, we have a circle button, and if you press, you have this circular 3D button available for you. Okay, now the third button that we're going to create is going to be a rounded rectangle. So I'm going to copy this, and we're going to create a rounded rectangle button, and let's go ahead and set this as 200 and maybe 100. And now what we're going to do is we're going to change this to a rounded rect type. Okay, so rounded rectangle type, and there we have a rounded rectangle button, and as you can see, it is basically expected the way we are expecting for it to be. All right, you can have slightly narrower button by decreasing the height, and there you have 3 different types of 3D buttons that you can use. Once again, by defining these button styles, you actually not only made it reusable, but also made it configurable by adding some configuration options. Okay, all right, with that we have reached the end of this video. Thanks again for watching.